Afternoon, chaps. Hope everyone is well. Friday, another week goes by. 2 more weeks and we will be into September. Unbelievable. The weeks are flying by. So, what are we looking at this morning? Well, possibility. There's a 2-tiered channel. We're working along the top, then we push down, we're working along the bottom. Push up, a little bit of sideways, so maybe, it's hard to tell, it's a bit early yet. We could be in the middle of a downtrend or the start of a downtrend, or we could be bouncing here and go back into a range. That's the trouble, really. We don't quite know, so we just have to keep an eye on this, but I am being a bit cautious here. Because we could sort of trigger some shorts and then off we go. So we'll have to see. So, Growl Daddy, good morning. Kevin, morning all. How you doing, my friend? Indy, how you doing, pal? JP, howdy to you. So, okay, so David, good afternoon. So, it is the last day of the 50% off evaluations and resets, so hopefully I expect an email late tonight or early hours of the morning with a new offer. Now, I will be shocked if we don't get 80% off. I will be pleased if we get 90% off, but my general thoughts is we're going to get 80% off maybe for the next week, and then the week leading up to and during the Labor Day weekend I would expect a 90% off, so fingers crossed for that. But even with the 80% off, $33, it's much better than the alternative 50% off at the moment, which I'm not paying. And I'd say to you, I wouldn't pay either. We have these offers on often now, so I would say definitely wait for the 80% off. Don't spend your money. Trading's expensive enough as it is to learn, so yeah, use the 80% off when we get it, and then obviously even better than 90%. But I'll be surprised if any. Well, I think I've had 2 over the last week, 2 or 3 of my codes used, maybe 3 of the last week. Usually I get about maybe 10 a day at least. So if you guys aren't using them, then no one else is using them, so you get what I'm saying. So Apex are going to be going, oh, well, okay, no one's using them. Let's go. So there we go. So, yeah, I'm still a bit on the fence as what to do here. Whether this is a 2-tiered channel, I don't know. It certainly could be. If we bounce off the top and come down at the bottom, then I'll start thinking, yeah, but we've touched a few times at the top. Excuse me, we come straight down and we have bounced along the bottom here, and it does look to me like we may be going down, but markets have got a habit of doing that and then teasing you into going short, and then off it trots, and then we end up ranging. So it's really hard to say. But what I will say is, if you look on the daily, I'll just bring it in quickly. What time is it? Okay. Oh yeah, we've got 6 minutes yet. If you look on the daily, we've had this big trend upwards going back to mid-March, and then we had 2 perfect measured legs, and that bar there, actually the bar closed there, and that was a pin bar, bullish pin bar, so I fully expected it to push up. But I don't know, I've heard a few rumours and people around the net talking about a bit of a market crash. I know Bitcoin dumped about 10% yesterday and a lot of the altcoins came down, so I wouldn't be shocked if we started to come down for a while, but, you know, that's just sort of rumours you tend to hear in. I'm seeing a lot on YouTube and that, and various Facebook groups talking about a little bit of a crash, so maybe that was, but yeah, I mean, we've had 4 days now, well, depending on what happens today, where we've pretty much came down, so I don't mind, actually. I kind of like these sort of trend days. At least they're a bit easy to trade anyway. So that's a possibility, that we just keep coming down. I mean, this is today. That was yesterday. Obviously, it ended up in a pull bar, then it came down, and then we had quite a big drop off yesterday. Unfortunately, all the good moves seem to be when we finish. So I'm hoping we've closed here. We've had that little bit of a pullback, and now we're dropping. So I'm hoping we do continue down. which looks like, but ideally I want to get below here really, and then pull back, and then hopefully come down. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. So hopefully it might be nice. But there was, what was I looking at? Yeah, there's a second entry short there, stroke lower high, but it's a little bit early, but it does seem to be sort of daisy chained a bit, so that might not have been a terrible trade, and it did work actually. It came down about 5 points, I think. There was a channel down here with a second entry short there. I prefer those much closer to the EMA, but it worked. So sometimes when we have these big strong trend days, any type of second entry just seems to work. But I'm a bit on the fence about trading here. It does look from this pattern that we may continue down, but I am aware that sometimes they can trigger it and then push up. So I prefer a little bit more movement. So hopefully when the market officially opens, we get a bit more volume, we may sort of start to show a bit more of a pattern. But that's what it's looking like so far. So who else have I missed? Well, I've said up into JP, I think. David, how are you? Brick, good afternoon. Indy, how you doing, buddy? Rodian, how are you? Good evening, or yeah, good evening, I should say. Graham, how you doing, pal? So all good. Now, quick question. Quick comment. We had some discussions yesterday about these trend channels. Now, I had my trend channel drawn a little bit larger than some, and we had some deep discussions. I think Hesse was one, said, your channel's wrong, we've had a break, look at Max. Now, I don't know if anybody looked at Max's video last night, but he had that channel. And then he said, there's also this channel. And at the end of the video, he said, actually, I think the bigger channel works better. And that's how I had it. So it just goes to show the way I had my channel just seemed clearer. The angle seemed to work. And then obviously Max said at the end, I think that actually works better. So it just goes to show we can all interpret these things slightly different. There's not necessarily a right or a wrong way. It's how you interpret it. But I think what you have to do is if I get lots of comments throughout the stream saying, oh, I think it's this, and I'll try it. And if it looks better and I think it's work, I'll keep it there. If it doesn't, I'll put it back, because you have to do it how you feel it's right. It's hard to say why, but you have to sort of learn and have your own way. Do you know what I mean? And I think you learn by trading in the charts. But, if I think something looks better with someone's suggestion, I'll leave it. And if I don't, if I still think the way I've put it looks better, I'll obviously, so I take advice if I think it's advice that's right, correct, or it'll help me. But, and then obviously the channel up there, a couple of people said, I got it wrong a bit. And then looking at it later, yeah, I did. But sometimes we adjust these channels and they don't always work. But the trouble is, when you just got a channel up, it's hard to know what sort of day you were going to have. And in the end, we had a mostly ranging day, but at the time we just had that push up. So the trouble is, when you're pushing up, your bias is going long, and obviously we hit a top a few times. But it's just one of those things. But all I'll say to you is, if I have my chart a certain way, don't change your chart to copy mine. If you think it looks better the way you have it, stick to your guns, because you'll learn in the long run, and it's better to learn not necessarily by someone else saying, because, I don't know. You guys don't know, half the guys you're talking to, whether they've been trading 2 months or 20 years. Okay, so I thought market is open. Okay, so that's a good sign that we've pushed below there, so maybe we will. But yeah, that's all I'm saying. So you have to do if you don't feel it's right, don't change it. Because there's no right or wrong way. And with all Mac's experience, admitted in the end that he thought that way was better. So, even experienced traders get it wrong. When you've been doing this a few years, you do get pretty all right at it. It's more the psychological side. Okay, so there's a first entry. It's sort of retesting the bottoms, but I'm still on the fence here at the moment. A frustrator. Okay, let's see what happens. So you've got to be so careful shorting here. because this, you could say this is a failed breakout. Okay, it's finished kind of nice above there. If we get a lower high, I was hoping that would trigger and trap some shorts if it wasn't going down, but you get what I'm saying here, don't you? It has bounced sort of a few times there, so I think it's a bit early to just go short there because I think it'll trap you. Yeah, if you went short there, you're going to get stopped out. I hope you don't, but I think you're going to. Yeah. It is a second entry short, and in a strong downtrend, it would be a great trade. The problem is, it's bounced here, and it's struggled a bit here, so that tells me it may be a bit of a range. Now, I also thought about going long there, but there's still room to here for it to start to come down. So, yeah, you know what I'm saying. It is frustrating. See how the bias can affect you, can't it? You can be, as soon as you see this, you're thinking we're down, and especially over that big strong push below there. I mean, look at that. If that doesn't sell you a signal we're going short, nothing does. And then what happens? You get a really nice leg up. I mean, granted, it closed a little bit above the EMA, but I've seen Mac take those, plenty of those. But the problem is we are coming to here, and the way that reacted to that and here a little bit, you could see something wasn't right, which is why I left that, because that triggers you and then stopped you out. So just things like this come with experience. A lot of you guys have been doing it a while now, so you know what I'm saying. You got to be a bit cautious there. The inside bar kept out on that one. Yeah, you got to be so careful. I mean, it may be a break and come down, but I was also thinking that there is a possibility that, I don't think it is, because it's going to be too shallow, that it may end up something like that, but that's way too shallow for a channel, in all fairness. So that looked okay at the time. But I'm probably... Or shall I just leave it and fade it out? So I'll tell you what, let's put that like that. I just put these because I like people to see what I'm thinking and what my readings are. But what I tend to do is sometimes just fade out the colour. Sorry. So, yeah, it almost looks like a different colour. It's got a slight pink tinge to it, but I don't know. If I missed anyway, just picked up 2 points on that failed second entry short. Yeah, I did look at that. I did consider that. But I thought it's a little bit sideways there. We may get a double trap. It'll stop the short out and then stop the long out and then come down. So, yeah, good on you, mate. Good on you. I ummed and ahed about that. It did cross my mind. But sometimes when the market opens, we all sort of get that, you know, you get that little sort of a nervous, sort of excited type feeling. And sometimes I like to let that settle before I take a trade. But yeah, good on you, that mate. That was trapping shorts. My only slight concern is we have been coming down. So is this sort of like a false negative? You know what I mean? So maybe we get 2 legs. I don't know. So touch. I mean, that's clearly a channel there. Trouble is, we could have this. We could have a break and then a new low. So we've got to be a bit careful here. So 1 leg down, 2 legs down. Same again. It's a little bit early. Could come down and make a new low. I'll soon know in a minute. Took 10 points. Good on you, Bob. Happy days, mate. You're done for the weekend. Go and drink some single malt. If I got 10 points, I'll be off like a shot. There was a time where I used to get that, but I've slowed down a bit now because I suppose there was an element of luck involved, and I was going through a time where trades did seem a bit easier. So we've got a leg and a push up. Still a bit too early to go long. Because it could come down and make a new low. This could just be a break of a channel. Okay, that's a failure. I still think that's a bit risky going short there. It looks like we're correcting probably, yeah. I'd say by looking at this, we're probably going to go up. Yeah, I mean, there was a second entry, but there's just no entry there, is there really? No bar. It's all a bit, you know, the way that closed underneath, you never know, do you? It's a bit early. That could just be a failed breakout, or it could be a leg, and then more downwards. Because judging by the the daily, we started with a bullish pin bar yesterday, and look at it now, so it's starting to look a bit negative. But I would expect a bit of a pullback, maybe to here. So it's hard to say what it's going to do today, in all fairness. 10 months ago, we would have had a perfect second entry long. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one, Thomas, that have noticed things. Setups are getting a lot harder. See, that's kind of a higher low. If that was a bit closer, I may be interested in that. Because there's a leg up there, 2 legs of correction. I expect another leg. Let me just put that there. You have got to be careful. I would have said, from what I'm seeing now after it reacted there, 2 legs of correction, I think it's more likely we're going to go up and make an extra leg. But there's always a possibility it could come down. It's a bit too early to make a strong judgment on that. That's looking quite bullish. But it's not a new low, it's a triple bottom. So if we can get another second entry here, then that may interest me. But I would have said we're going up. And if that finishes bullish... yeah, okay, so I think we're going to make a measured leg here. We have made a new high after this break. But I think another test of the lows is out of the question now. Justin, all in all, took that failure back into the potential range. Came to see if anyone else did that failure back into the range. Oh, that one there. Yeah, I think someone did. I was just a bit on the fence there because we had such a strong thing. And at the time, it's not really a range. All we've just done is pushed up and we've come down ever since. So I was a bit on the fence there. I tend to be a bit cautious at the moment. But it was a failure and you were going to be trapping some shorts, but I didn't know whether it was just going to stick above it and then come down. There could have been a double trap. But good trade, I think. But I'm not unconvinced that this could come and make a new low. I don't think it will, but it could do. possibility of another channel up there. Touch. Not sure yet. I still expect this measured leg to get hit. Okay, leg and a leg. Possible second entry long. Trouble is that channel has played out and had 2 pushes up to a new high, so you got to be careful here. Okay, there's a failure there. Trying to go once, that's broken above that by 1 tick. Same again. But I'm a bit on the fence here. It's also a second entry long. The EMA's flat, it's under the EMA, so I'm a bit cautious here because it could come down and retest the bottom or break the lows. It's hard to say at the moment. I'm not sure what my bias would be. I'd say possibly upwards, but I don't know. See if we can get a higher low here. Yeah, you said fails. Second entry long. It has trapped that. So try go once, try go twice. I don't know though. This is just looking like it's daisy chaining up. So I'm a bit unsure about this one. I have to see how it finishes. Yeah, see, that's a bit of a non-starter. It's above the EMA for a start. You got to be so careful. If this comes down below there, I'd say, yeah, I'm expecting it to come down. And it hasn't done yet. That surprised me by the way it was coming down. See, that now is a higher low, which is triggered, so there could be a few traps in here. I still think we're going up more than we're coming down. But it's a little bit sideways here and a little bit trappy. There was a failure there, which triggered and got stopped out. There was a second entry long which triggered and fortunately made it, but it's a bit late there now, so yeah, trouble is Angelo. Angelo, I got to get that name right. Fell second entry long. You're looking at that one there, aren't you? Which triggered and then stopped out. I don't know what you'd have got off that point wise, but it's just a bit sideways for me. So if you took that there, okay, you'd have got a 0.5 out of that. But it's a bit sideways. It made flat as flip. So it's a bit uncertain there, but look at that. So if you took that long, thinking, yeah, I mean, you'd have got maybe a couple of points and straight back down. Look, so it's sideways here because I think there's some uncertainty whether we're going up into a range or whether we're coming down and retesting the lows after this channel. So I think that's possibly why it's caused a little bit of sideways, because there's a little bit of confusion as what exactly is going on here. Touch there, touch. Touch. So, yeah, it's a bit of, I hate that. I get a bit finicky there. Okay, so, 1 once it pushed above the EMA, didn't it? Yeah, that's the trouble. When it, that's why I've sort of neglected to get into a trade here, because part of me thinks we're going up and part of me thinks we could come down and retest this, because just listening to some of the negativity around at the moment, and I'm hearing the word market crash, market's coming down, blah blah blah. I don't know. And then I see this. We started with a lovely bullish pin buy yesterday, and I thought perfect measured leg, we're going up. And then all of a sudden, wham, drops again, and the start of today drops again. So my thoughts generally are bearish at the moment, which is why I'm a little bit inclined. Which is why I stayed out of that failure there, because it could have been a double trap. But it's clearly a failure, and I think if anything, you're going to trap some shorts. But I don't know. If you look, it's a little bit sideways there, so I was just a little bit uncertain there, and I tend to wait for trades that are a bit more obvious at the moment. So, and obviously there, second entry long, which should have got 2 points, you'd still be okay, but it's still not not brilliant, because it's closed just under the EMA, and the EMA is flat. So you know. It's one of those things. You could do okay, but it's a little bit unclear, hence why we're going a bit sideways. Good day to you, Exponential. How you doing? Sam, looking a bit scrappy. It certainly is, pal. You're not wrong. One correction in 5 months. The bulls already saying a crash. Classic. Yeah, it's just, I follow certain people on YouTube, certain sort of well-known, more your traders and that sort of thing. The ones that have worked for the, some of the bigger banks and that sort of stuff. And I'm just hearing a little bit more negative stuff. So, I don't know, who knows? So I wouldn't be surprised if we continued down here, but in all fairness, I just don't know at the moment. 1 minute it looks like it's pushing up, next minute it looks like it's coming down. So I've got mixed feelings, and judging by what's going on there, is I'm not the only one. Yeah, so I mean, normally with a push up like this and sideways, I think often you'll get a push out the top, and there could be a bit of a spike in channel forming there, maybe. So let's go from the bottom here to here. Yeah, that would make sense, wouldn't it? Still a bit early. It kind of works. We touched here, but still a bit flatty. If we can get up and bounce there around about where that midline is and come down, I think there's a chance we've got a channel there, maybe a spike in channel, which would it works along the bottom, but we'll see. We'll get rid of it for now, otherwise I'll get slaughtered by someone. Just the way things are looking anyway, I'm not thinking about going short at the moment, because we do seem to be having a sort of a bit of an upward curl, haven't we? So whether that's just the way I'm seeing it, or whether there's any validity to that, I don't know, but it does look like it's starting to slowly move up. So I think we can finish bullish here, I think, then, because we've sort of stopped on right on the top there. I think we'll continue up a bit. Okay, yeah, that's starting to put a bit of a picture now, so let's just put that back. Let's put it back to there, say. Sneak that up a bit. So let's see how that finishes. So we've gone from these few bits here. So it does look like a quick spike and a channel to me. We touched a few times there, touched there. So, and the way that's finishing, well, I'd expect some downward stuff there. Whether it'll hit that measured move now, or whether it will hit it in a bit, I don't know. But it's starting to look like we're moving into a channel there anyway. We'll have to see. But we're certainly going up anyway, so spike and channel range, really. Yeah, it is a bit. I mean, I think we've got to push up. Better side was going to push up. But a lot of the times we'll get these sideways within ranges. There was obviously a bit there. Within channels, a little bit there, a little bit there. So sometimes they'll go from, what I notice a lot of the time, they'll go from one top corner of an uptrend to the bottom corner of the other side of the uptrend, just waiting for a decent sized bar, which in all fairness that didn't look that bad. And if you go in from the bottoms here, that's the one that eventually launched us up. But there wasn't a lot there really. You may have, that sort of looked like a and that held, actually, that sort of second entry looking leg in a leg bar, that held. It didn't break below there. So but hopefully if you took that, you'd be out before the tops anyway. There's more than enough points to take there. In fact, I'm going to change these colours a bit. I'm not a fan of that green. It just makes my head go a bit funny. That's better. Okay, so let's see how we get on here. So I'm certainly not taking a trade at the midline. For me, it's got to be down here. Maybe go up from there, but so many times I've taken trades at the midline, a lovely second entry short in an uptrend, and it triggers you and comes back to this side. Because it does look like there's almost like a hidden second entry long there, but as far as I'm concerned, it's a possible trap there. I'm staying out of that anyway. Oh, you may have got away with that. A lot of the times it does it for a second time, and that encourages people to get in. I did it myself a few weeks ago. I was looking at the hidden second entry long and I left it, and then we had another bullish bar right next to it, and I took it and it came down and stopped me out, yeah. And you see, hidden second entry long, triggered you by one tick, stopped you out by one tick. That's why I don't take these in a midline, in a wider channel, especially where it sets me up at the midline, because so many times it'll trap you, come back to this line and give you a nice setup. You can clearly see we've got a leg down, and I'm seeing another leg down here. So yeah, it does, yeah. But inexperienced traders will take that, and I've taken them dozens of times myself, and that's how you learn. But there is, you know, that's why they come. That's why Mac has these with these, because two tiers, you know, it can split up these trading areas, and people think, oh yeah, second entry long, and they go long, and then comes down them. I don't mind taking them off the bottom if it works nice, but with here, but it's a bit flat there, so I'd rather either wait for a higher low. I'd much prefer that to come back to here. But the good thing is we've come from here, we've pushed up to this top, and we've pushed right up again. So there's no loss of momentum. Because sometimes what you'll find is as it goes up, it'll stop here. And then as it goes up another time, it'll stop here. And it's coming further and further away from that. And sooner or later it fizzles out and has a break. But that's nice and strong. So I'd still expect it, if it comes down here, to push up higher. Now, there is a second entry long there, which I don't think is terrible, but it is a bit flat, so I'm staying out. It's up and down, up and down, up and down. I'd much prefer this first time to come back here, in all fairness. Because I think it can get trapped, that. And the more you get trapped, the more you learn not to take these trades, because it's a bit flat there and a little bit, and judging by the way this is coming, it might just make your day miserable, because it is a second entry long there, and it's not a terrible looking one, so I'm hoping that triggers that but not that, and then pushes up for a higher low, but I'll be surprised. A lot of the times, yeah, see what I mean? So hidden second entry long there, triggered above you, stopped you out, one trap. Second entry long there, triggered above you, stopped you out, two traps within that. And in the past, I've taken two trades in one go like that, and within the space of 2 minutes, you're two down, and it's so bloody frustrating. But the more time you spend on these charts day after day after day, you'll start to notice where these traps appear, and you'll stay out of them. And a lot of the times, when you identify one and you stay out of it and it would have trapped you, it's a nice feeling because you start to realise then you're learning. And that's the only way you learn here, really, is to trade day after day after day. Don't worry about your losses that they're teaching you. As long as you genuinely think it was a trade, the best way to learn is to lose, really. So, what's going on here? Are we going to come down and let's put that like that? Okay, touch. Are we going to come down and break these lows, or are we? Is that a break? Same again, a little bit of uncertainty here. Unless we're staying above the EMA, yeah. See, the way that's going up, I'm starting to think, okay, we're bullish here. Obviously that bearish, but until we get some sort of definitive movements, I'm just sort of sitting tight at the moment. Because that is not far off a measured leg. I'd say that bottom leg is probably a little bit bigger. Yeah, just by maybe 3 ticks. It could come down, see, and make a new low. I don't know. I'm not sure whether it will make a new low or whether it'll just... I don't know at the moment. I was thinking bearish at the time, but maybe not so much now. So if you look where the bottom is and where the top is, we've come back about halfway, really, isn't it? Haven't we? So whether we are going to push down or not, who knows? Chad, there's a gap on the daily chart from last night around about 43.70, if I've seen it right. 43.70. I've never quite understood gaps. They don't make much sense to me. I still don't really understand, and the only gap I know is when it opens from the daily. I hear people talking about gaps, but they make no... I just don't get them. Okay, so we've bounced off here. I don't know, I'm not convinced we're going up. Liquidity at 57 on Bookmap. Yeah, that's down here. Exponential, I deleted the channel because I'm not thinking it's going to retest. I'd have preferred it to work a little bit higher just to sort of sink that channel into my brain a bit, but we've started from here, touched here. It is a break. In fact, mate, it could be, this is looking like a leg to me, so that could be a leg and a leg, which should take us down to the bottom. So you may be right. I tend to leave them there until I think they're no purpose, and then maybe just sort of feather them out like that. So that's what I was thinking at the time, but it may longer. So you may be right. Let's make that a bit darker because that seems to be still playing a part. But yeah, possible. So the way that's looking, see that new high. So there's a lower high there, isn't there? if we get below there, that's triggered, isn't it? See there. So I'm not sure. So I'm not trading. But if you took that bullish bar, I think that's a mistake. Because it's triggered yet, I'll be shocked if it doesn't come down and stop that out. Because this looks like a leg down, and I'll be surprised if we don't come and retest this bottom. So if you did take that long, which triggered you, you're going to get stopped. There you go. So unfortunately, that was another area where he may have got trapped. New high there. There's so many traps here. It does look like a leg and a leg, so it is looking to me like it's probably going to be. So if you think about it, we have sort of retraced about 50%. If you go from the top, well, let's look at this route. We don't even need the thingy mark, do we? We can just look where the main, this to me looks where the strong bottom is and the top is. And we've retraced. In fact, even if you draw that, no, that's not going to work, is it? Let's just drag it right down to the very bottom. So no. I mean, for me, this is where I think the strongest level is. And it depends how you draw these, really. It's touching a couple of times there, but we've come back to that midline, so we have retraced 50%. Now, I don't tend to listen too much to that, but I am aware that it could make a difference. Mac doesn't talk about it, but he has done in the past. He has mentioned it. So if that's the case, we have retraced 50%. Then maybe we're going to get a leg and a leg down, and funnily enough, that will retest the lows. So perhaps it's a leg down with 2 legs of correction. We haven't quite come to the top, but you could class that as 2 legs of correction. And then perhaps now we're working down again. So what I will do is just... let's just shove this out of the way a bit, and I'm going to try a channel there to see if anything looks like it may work. Maybe. It's just choppy to me at the moment, that's all I can say. Hey Alex, how you doing, brother? I'm a little bit late, you ain't missed nothing much. There was a failure there which did work, but there was a little bit of sideways, so I was a bit uncertain there, but sometimes I like to settle for 20 minutes before I take a trade, because it just helps me relax a bit more. Okay, so maybe let's put that there a bit. So maybe a leg, I don't know. They just seem to be trying to push up again. In fact, I'm going to get rid of that for a minute because it's getting a bit. Sometimes you can get too much on the chart, can't you? So let's remove that as well. Try and clear it up a bit. Look at that. Right at the bottom. I may try to trade a lower high if it sets up a lower high. See, just bear it in mind, sometimes when we have a bit of sideways and we break out the top, we do the opposite down the bottom and then come back in. So I don't know what's going on here at the moment. 1 minute it drops out, then it pushes in quite strong, then it drops out, then it pushes in. So it may work and it may not. Trouble is, what you've got to admit, it's very choppy, so it just could mess with you. And sometimes when it is choppy, it gives you a trade, triggers it and stops you out. I don't want you to listen to me, but I half expect that to finish crap, so you don't take it, because I think it would have trapped you. But never listen to what I say. I got just as much chance of being right and wrong as any of you guys, which is why I don't necessarily say don't take this, don't take that. I tell you what I think about the trade, but you ultimately have to do what you do. It's the only way you really learn. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong, but I'm never more right or wrong than any of you guys. Didn't set up. No, I'm kind of glad it didn't. So I'm going to say I thought the next one was going to be bearish, which would have just been as good as a setup, really. But yeah, it's just chopping at the moment, isn't it? It's doing a lot of this lately. Yesterday was some of the worst price action I'd seen for a while. Lots of chop. Yeah, congestion. Sometimes when you get this congestion, it really does trap you, and it's so bloody annoying. Because it will trap you. It'll give you a setup, then it will trap you, and then give the bulls a setup and trap them. Yeah. Yeah, I've had to learn hard to stay out of this. Sometimes I just get into here and think, there was a time where I'd sort of take anything that was a setup, regardless of how good it looked, just the fact that it was a lower high, higher low, or a second entry. It didn't matter what the context was. But this stuff's, you just can't trade this. Much safer to just sit and wait. And it is a good lesson in patience, because so much of trading, especially lately, is sitting and waiting. But I'd rather sit and wait for 3 or 4 hours a day than go out to do a 10 or 12 hour shift working for someone else. I tend to wait for at least 3 clear tests on the bottom. Yeah, we've all got our ways of helping our decisions with these little things. I wait for something to do something so many times or whatever, but yeah, whatever helps you. Whatever helps you. Yeah, this is mucky at the moment, isn't it? I don't even know whether they're just dragged out like that for now. And we've had a break out of it and below it, and it is a bit choppy, but Legan, yeah, 1 minute it gives you something that looks really attractive, next minute it turns, and it's working in like a 2, 4, 6. It's working in like a 2.5 point area. So, sorry, 4.5, 5 point area. And there's if you're going for 2 points and you're waiting for it to come in so far, you've really got no room for manoeuvre. See, I'm not sure whether this is a channel. Push down a little bit of sideways. And this may be a bit of a break. I don't know. No, there's the break. If we're going for that, there's the break and the new low. So let's get rid of that. Let them fight it out. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it does look like a barcode a bit, doesn't it? Let's have a look. Yeah, I think we're going to have another leg, I do, down here. I think we're going to come down to these bottoms. Just the way we've had a couple of legs up and we've pushed down and we've gone a bit sideways. I'd say we're probably going to come down, but I could be wrong. But if I was a betting man, I'd put my money on coming down. Not that I'd put my money on this lot, but you know what I mean? I'd say we're going to come down. Whether we come down much further, it is possible. I'm just wondering actually whether there is. It's not. It's a bit. It's a bit shallow, but whether there's any type of a channel there, there could be. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Touch, 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 touch. So, based on what I'm seeing on the daily, this, I think we're on our way down personally. So, I mean, it's a bit too big to start off now. If we come down here, we go up here and come down here within the next 2 hours, then we'll say this is valid. But what I will say is we've gone right from that very top. We've touched there perfectly, and fun enough, look at that. What's the chance of that touching there? Now, granted, it is the midline, and it's retraced 50%, but perhaps that's leg down, retrace 50%, another leg down. So let's see if this is a possibility. I like to look at these possibilities because it does help you understand what might be happening, and if you know what may be happening, it. So there is a possibility. I haven't got bookmap up. I don't know what you got around about 132, 133. 43, 32-ish around about there. I'm guessing there might be something down. So it looks like a leg to me, and I expect another leg down. And with this leg here, and a couple of legs of correction, and it does look like 2 legs of correction. It's better now. I've got rid of that channel. We've got 1 leg, couple of legs back, and another leg. Push down sideways. We may pop out the top and retest this line, but my thoughts now are down. And it's just a process of elimination. What we're doing really here is studying human behavior, and it's just looking. That's what I'm seeing now. Obviously, I've got to trade it based on what I see, not what I think. But if it's really starting to look like this, you know what they say, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, chances are, so whether we'll drop out the bottom, trap some shorts, push up, take out some longs and bounce here and then continue down is another thing. 34.55 down here. Okay, so that's at least going to take us down to the bottoms. If people are taking taking profits, they may not want to take it down here. They may just think, okay, we'll take it up here and then we'll take our profits down here. But the way that's pushing down, it's I don't think my chart reading's that bad, in all fairness. I think it's one of my stronger points. But it does, we've clearly sort of got some bias, I think, of downwards. There we had a couple of legs and some more leg down, sideways, another leg down. So I certainly expect to hit that measured leg. They're so accurate, that, and when I see these things, they're not often that wrong. In fact, I'll be inclined to say that is probably more like that. And that is probably somewhere around about there. So I expect to get a bit lower, which I think is a good sign. That gets us through the lows of the day here. Unfortunately, there's just no entry there. As much as I was I had a strong feeling we were going to do that, there's just no entry. It just all of a sudden goes sideways and dropped. If it went sideways to here, I may be interested in trying to find something, but there's just no sign at all. Look, you get another bullish bar there, triggers your whams, come straight down. So we shall see. But I like the way we've touched right at the very top of the day. We've touched beautifully here, and we've just finished perfect on 2 bars there. So I don't think you can deny that. And then, funnily enough, if you bring it back to the other side, look there and look there. The more times this happens like this, it can't be random. So I expected a pullback if we can get a couple of legs up. So let's just see if there's a little channel there. And if we can give us maybe a second entry short, then I'll be interested in that. But I also said it could drop out the bottom, push out to the top and come back to here, but I'm kind of hoping it doesn't. Damn, stopped out on my swing trade. Bad on you, mate. I don't know where you went from. What I will say, if you're swing trading, make sure you keep taking bits of profit, because I see what's his name, Thomas, what's his name? Oh, I've gone blank. Thomas, you know the one I mean. I see a lot of his runners going for 4 and 6 and 8 points, and he doesn't move. They just come back and they get him. Thomas Wade, yeah. It is so nice having a quicker internet speed. But I see a lot of his moving 6 or 8 points, and then it comes back and gets him. I'm thinking, take something at least. See what I mean about that? I half expected it to drop out the bottom and then push back up to this area. If it does bounce here and start to come down, then as far as I'm concerned, that's a channel. Oh. And if it pushes up and continues up, then obviously that's just scrap. So this is where I thought it may push back up to, so it'd be interesting to see what it does here. I think it's inevitable it's going to struggle here. Even if it does push up and this is not valid, I think they're going to be traders thinking, what do I want to be buying going into that? So I have a different account of swings. I'll probably try again long. Yeah, for me at the moment, I'm thinking about shorts at the moment. Because look where that's held up, funnily enough. And if you understand what's going on, that's why I do these little predictions. I said I wouldn't be shocked if it drops back here, pulls back up to this line and then turns, and it did exactly that. So the more you see these markets, the more you've got these ideas what that usually happens. Now, I'm not saying it's not going to push up, but I did mention it's so when you see these things happening again and again and again, you start to understand the pattern that human beings make, and that's what we are studying: human behavior. What are human beings thinking when we're right at the bottom of a downtrend? They're not thinking about selling there, so what happens? They buy. Same again, we come right back down to this line again. You're not thinking of selling there, what happens? They buy. It's human behavior, and same here. Once that hit there, you're not going to be buying there, and what are you doing here? There may be traders coming off this bottom with stops down here thinking we're going along, but look what's happened 3 times. It's not random, that. It's human. In fact, that I can adjust that slightly to fit better. So, look, touch. It may work, it may break, it may rock it up. But you've got to give this a chance to work, and if it does work and then continues down, then this channel. But look where that's closed again. Do you know what I mean? It's not random. So we'll see. It may rock it up. It may have a break and come down. It may do a lot of things, but yeah, okay, so we've had a break and a new high, so I'll be looking for a lower high because my thoughts are bearish at the moment, and we've hit this now. I didn't just draw that line to fit it. I already had that line there, but look what's happened. 1, 2, 3, 4 bars have all struggled to go higher. So at some point, buyers will give up the ghost and the shorts will take over there, and I'm hoping to get a lower high. Also, when it bunches up like this, once it's straight, it'll only try so many times and then it'll drop. But we've already had a break and a new high, so we'll see. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. All on that line. So that line's obviously playing a part for some people. Now, it may just continue on up. But it's clearly struggling. So, we'll see. I'm hoping this is a lower high. Okay, so that's not convincing break for me. So as long as it doesn't go any higher, I'm okay with that. Let's have a look. Yeah, that still works perfectly fine for me. So I don't mind adjusting it a fraction, because a tiny fraction down here doesn't mean nothing up there. So what's your reason to look for longs? So Sam. Okay, there's your first entry. I'm hoping we get a failure below the EMA. It'd be nice to get a second entry long here. Another bar dropping and trapping some longs, which triggers and then comes down. But I want that to finish a bit more bearish, really. Because I don't want to take a failure this high. I'd rather take a failure slightly below the EMA. So I want that bar to finish quite bearish near the EMA, and then hopefully we get another bar going down and then sit in. Perfect. So I want that to trigger below, a little bit further below, and then trigger a long trade, a second entry long. And then if that triggers and comes down, it may not, it may just drop, but I'm hoping that's bullish. So then you've got a second entry long there, so it may trap some longs. As that triggers, I'll be looking for the failure. So you can't deny that line. There's no argument there. I just think it's just going to drop and not going to give us a setup, unfortunately. There's nothing really I'd have been interested in just taking here. If there was, you'd have clearly got your 2 points. But that, to me, is a clear indication we're struggling to go higher and we're bouncing off that line. So there's only one thing left to do to come down, in my opinion. I don't think we're going to get set up. That's frustrating. No, you can't take that. But I was hoping we'd get a second entry long trigger. But to be fair, this is clearly looking bearish to me in this area, so I can't see where anybody bar shorts would be in this and the way that's moving. Touch, 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 touch. You can clearly see it's reacting to that line. Now, obviously, bulls are trying to push it high, but at some point they're going to give up. And once the bulls come out of it, anything left are the shorts, and then you get 3 big red candles. And that's the downside. You want really an area where it's a little bit confusing, but the more experienced traders will notice what was going on. So that's why I was hoping we were going to get a bullish bar here, which then triggered. So to trigger the second entry long for maybe less experienced or people trying to pick bottoms, and then we come down. See, there is a failure there, but it's just too far from the EMA in my opinion. It's a 3-point risk at the moment. Tick below there, tick below there. I'm not prepared to take that. Because we know there is a little bit of support around here, so it just could make a difference. Rapid Rob, this might sound crazy, but the harder you try to follow the rules, the harder. Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I couldn't put that more perfect myself. Absolutely. It just goes to show trading is about sitting and waiting for just those couple of trades. That's why I think after a period of time, everyone's telling you you're trading too much, you're trading too much. Less, someone mentioned yesterday, less is more. It's absolutely right. And you learn that over time, because the more stricter you get, the more trades you win, but the less trades you trade. So that's, we've all heard it 1,000 times, haven't we? You're trading too much, cut your trades back. Think about just the very special trades, the extra good trades. That's why sometimes the way Max marked these charts just confuses people. Because it just says to inexperienced traders, well, why am I not seeing 12 trades a day? I need to take 12 trades a day. And that's what goes wrong. But absolutely, yeah, the more strict you get, the less trades there is, the less setups there is. That's because they're the trades. So I think when you hit that level, you're starting to trade the right way. When you're only seeing 1 trade a day, maybe 2, maybe 3 on a good day. On some days you won't see any, but you'll be winning most of them. Absolutely, Sam. Absolutely, mate. This is why I like chit-chatting, because we're all trying to get to... That's looking nice and bearish, isn't it? That's actually a failure. I just don't like that little bit of congestion there, because there's a bit of support, so it could trigger that. I do think it'll come down, but that's why I talk about it, because I talk about how I feel. And funny enough, it's exactly the way most of you guys are feeling. So it is nice. Sometimes when other people chat on the Facebook group about how they feel and what they're experiencing, you start to think, that's how I'm feeling. So it does help people. That's why I talk out aloud, because it's what I'm thinking. And sooner or later you realise we're all trying to do exactly the same thing. We all think exactly the same way. It is tempting, that, but it's a bit congested there, and there is a bit of support there, so it could trigger you and trap you. So this is a trade that I think not looks too bad, but I think it's dangerous. And the way that's pushing up, it triggers one tick. There's no way that's going to not trigger that out. But that's what I mean. Look what happens. It goes all the way down. What happens? Traders take it. It triggers you, pushes straight back up, stopped them out. You may get away with it. It's a double top, but we'll see. But I'd hate to be in that trade. There's nothing worse than seeing that trigger you. Those ones that trigger you for one tick. That's why a lot of the times I'll give it an extra tick there, and just now and again, it helps you out. It'd be interesting to see what happens here. But I have seen Mac take trades, and he marks them as a high probability trade, and they come up right to the same level. So, but yeah, sometimes this is an area where I lose my bottle and get out. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But sometimes I think you're better to get out with a tick. In all fairness, it's very choppy here. The picture for me is we're coming down, but what route it takes to come down is a completely different thing. It could go up and down like this as it's coming down. So it could be come down, traps and shorts, go up, take them out, go up, trap some longs, come down, take them out. So it's definitely chopping, but we are coming down. So I'm just hoping we may find a bit of clear area, clear cloud, and start to run a bit smoothly. But it is doing its usual self, isn't it? I mean, look at that. Loads of chop here, same here. This is untradeable. You've got these little moments of clarity like that where these are the areas to try and find something when it starts to move, and hopefully you can get into something. But in the meanwhile, it's doing it. So look, it's doing the same again. So it may go up, stop out the shorts, trigger along, stop that out. See, this also could be a sort of a triple test, but I tend to know now. I think I'm getting better at just knowing if something doesn't look right, and if it doesn't, I just stay out. My sort of judgment's improving, where I can have a quick glance and think, don't like the way that looks. Okay, so if you did take that short there, thinking we're going another leg down, it stopped you out. But it seems, I don't know what's going on here. It's just it's coming back up. It may try and retest this line before it comes down a bit lower, but I don't know. Welcome to the chop yet. Blippy McBlip. I'm waiting to see Hesse. I am. I just want to rub his nose in it. That big channel I marked yesterday. He said to me, channel's wrong. Look at Max. Max had a break. And then if you looked at the end of Max's video yesterday, he drew my channel and think, actually, I think that looks better. So it just goes to show you can interpret these so different. But look at that. There's no arguing there. 1, 2, 3, a bunch of times there. Look where that's reacted there. So if we can get a lower high, but yeah, you can misinterpret these, and even Mac gets it wrong sometimes. Even Mac said, he said, actually, I think that looks better. But just because Mac has some odd looking charts sometimes. I do wonder whether he just knocks these charts up for the sake of the video. What? How's this going to form? No, in fact, in all fairness, if you are trading these, I think I'm going down to 6 ticks, where I cocked up yesterday and took that. His chart's up, isn't it? Let's have a look. That's quite early, isn't it? Oh no, he does it about this time. Let's have a look. Let's see what Uncle Mac's got for us. Oh, breakout. Let's have a look. No, so Mac's got this. Okay, so let me have a look. He hasn't got this. I think I'm a bit more advanced than Mac today. He's got... Let's have a look. He's got that. But he's got a break. Matt's got his... I think Matt's got his like that. He's got a break. That's by the by now. And he's got his... Which is valid, because it is going sideways. He's got... there, I think. To... there. Mac's got that like that. Okay, there's no argument there. In fact, I'm going to get rid of that for now. That might be something that comes in later. So, get that right. Okay, yeah. Let's fit that right at the bottom there. I mean, it's clearly going within there. Unfortunately, it's up here a bit, down here a bit, below here. That's the trouble with range days. Sometimes every time they bounce, they hit a different bloody level. So let's clear my chart a minute. Okay, so that makes sense to me. He's got the bottoms right there. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so he's got a small break. Let's colour that back in again. Usually goes from these first two swings back, in all fairness, so let's put that like that. Okay, so we've had a break in a new low. Yeah, pushed up, leg up, leg up. Okay, yeah, that looks better sometimes. Get rid of that now. It's amazing sometimes if you change your channel, how different your chart looks. Okay, so Max reviews, lack of attention to detail. Yeah, do you know what? When you're first starting, if you don't get one of these channels looking perfect, you get slaughtered. But Mac, sometimes he has them all over the place, really. I do wonder whether he just throws them together for the sake of it. You know, I do wonder sometimes whether Mac actually trades at all, whether he ended up winning the lottery. But I don't know. Let's move that up a fraction to there. Yeah, okay. Okay, leg and a leg. So that's actually a bit better than the bigger chart. It may end up something like that in the end, I don't know. But Mac has his channels that start at random points. Yeah, he does seem to do that. I've noticed that. And half cutting bars off when, you know. I do wonder whether Mac trades a bit differently from what we're taught. I think that's, you know, that's the basics. Someone mentioned it yesterday. Mac teaches you the basics and the rest you think, and I tend to think that's probably about right, actually. Starts his channels from where the move starts. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it is a bit random. Some of his charts look a bit odd as well, in all fairness. We do give him an hard time, don't we? But no, this is just conversation, that's all. That is part of your job as a trader, to understand, to learn, to evolve, and to ask questions. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. 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 With trend lines and channels, it's about fits best, not about following the rules. Yeah. Okay, so leg up, leg up. What's going on here? Okay, so we got quite a bearish bar there. So we have touched there a bunch of times, so that might be a good place to take a trade. It is 2 legs up, but I'm not a fan of taking trades at tops and bottoms. I'm not very good at it. I don't think it's one of my strong points. Maybe I've just had some bad experience with losers, but fortunately it's finished in NAF anyway. $33.70, that one there, yeah. I'm sort of eyeballing it from the bottom here to there. And then same sort of distance from there to there, isn't there? So I guessed it was at the top somewhere. Daily support around the 69s. At least we've got no news today. So, in all fairness, if you look at that trade now, we've had this break in a new low. I'll be shocked if Mac doesn't take that. So I made a mistake there by... did I take that? I can't remember now. Was it because of the another channel? I don't know. Did I have my chart drawn wider, didn't I? Yeah. So it just goes to show how your channel... I need to focus more on some of these earlier channels, because if we go from here, we touched here at sort of that next swing, so there's the break. So that actually is a really nice... especially if you've got this there, it's looking quite... I mean, there's a little bit of congestion there, but in all honesty, I'll be surprised if Mac doesn't take that. So that's an error on my behalf. So focus more on first, where we move from to that first swing, which is there. But yeah. Okay, so there's quite a few touches up here. So 1, 2, 3. Let's see how this gets to. Risky. Not a fan of these. If I'm ever going to take a short, I want that body right under there. So that might be, I don't know, the top might be there. How does that fit? Touch once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. And it's not terrible, actually. But I'm not a fan of picking tops. I'm really not. I've lost lots of trades that way, so I just tend to avoid them at the moment. Maybe that's something I can just keep an eye on in the future. Waiting for a lower high, yeah. Lower high below the EMA might be a better option. actually, let me just remove that. I'll put a green bar there. So that turns out, I think that was a nice trade actually, but I didn't take it because I had my channel drawn different, which if I'd have had my channel correct, I'd have probably jumped on that. A little bit of congestion, but I don't think it's not major. I don't think it's nothing major. It just, we had two like that. I think a trade like that, I think you've just got to take, haven't you, I think. And then obviously it turned out to be a trade that quite a few traders took because we had three nice strong green bars which went straight up and you got your points. That went for over 5, that went for about 5 points just in that first push. So that's usually an indication that a few traders got on that and liked it.
Order submitted.
Okay, if this finishes right, I think I've got to take it. Yeah, it might be a bit above the EMA, but it is a lower high. And we've had 2 legs up. It's not a massive bar, so... Yeah, sometimes as much as you're nervous about taking them, if it's a setup, you've just got to go for it. It's bounced a few times on there, you can clearly see that. Okay, it's finished crap anyway, so...
Order cancelled.
Whoa. In UK, Wilco is not doing good. Wilco? Wilco? What do you mean Wilco? You mean the shop Wilco? Wilco's or Wilkinson's? Is that what you mean, Sam? Excuse me. Because we have got a shop called Wilkinson's or Wilco's, they call it for short. I don't know, actually. I might have heard rumours, actually, that something was struggling. Because a friend of mine, Buddy's wife works there. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I did hear a rumour about it, that they may be closing some... Yeah. Well, they're looking for a buyer or something. Yeah, because a friend of mine, Mick, his wife works there. Okay, that's looking quite bearish. I'm not a fan of these where you get one big green one and then one red one. A lot of the times it'll trigger and give you one big green one. So, and target in the US. Oh, really? Yeah, it's just like a... what is it? It's just like it sells loads of like kitchen stuff, kitchen cleaners, you know, tin foil, or you call plastic wrap tin foil, I don't know, like Tupperware containers, all sorts of bits of stuff, cleaning equipment, all that type of stuff. Typical sort of household stuff. Trouble is, with all the massive big supermarkets, I mean, over here we got Tesco's, Sainsbury's and Asda, the 3 main big ones. And then you got sort of the German ones, Lidl and Aldi. I mean, you can go into Tesco's and you can buy, well, you got the same big stores in the US. You can buy anything from TVs to clothes. So it's so much easier to get everything in one place now. I mean, even with our shopping now, with our food shop, we get it delivered most of the time. But the trouble is, you know, I was talking with that wife earlier. I had a friend he was part owner in a butcher's and ended up giving up in the end because this... You know, they can't buy it in bulk the same way as the big supermarkets can. So, you know, the old sort of shops you used to have where, you know, in your local town, you'd have a butcher's, a baker's and all that, they're all disappearing because they just can't compete with the supermarkets. So, and obviously Amazon. I do wonder whether, I might have even sent this, whether Amazon are going to start doing food in supermarkets. It wouldn't surprise me. In fact, I have this sneaking suspicion that I may have heard that somewhere, that Amazon are gonna start I like that, doing food like in a supermarket. They're taking over the bloody world, Amazon. The trouble is, when there's only Amazon and nothing else left, they can charge whatever they want, and you're sort of screwed, really. Okay, so bearish-ish bar there, not brilliant. There's no real setup there, in all fairness. And then we just have a big sort of 4-point drop. What can you do? No setup. Would you have taken that one? You may have taken that one. That stopped you out. So it wasn't the most bearish bar. I hate it when you get two bars almost identical back to back. Amazon Whole Foods. Yeah, I seem to have... I seem to have recalled that I've heard somewhere that Amazon are going to start doing food shops. Makes sense, but you know, I had to drive my wife into town earlier. My daughter had braces a few years ago, so she has like a retainer, and I paid £200 for a retainer for a new one because the other one was worn, and within a day, for some reason, the dog had got hold of it and chewed it up. So that cost us another £200. So I drove into town to pick it up, and the high street's disappearing. There's just, there's hairdressers, there's, I don't know, vape shops, and there's cafes, really. There's just not a lot else. Which is a shame, really, because I suppose that sort of has a lot to do with community and that, doesn't it? But it's the way the world works, Things move on. I mean, don't get me wrong, we love Amazon. We buy nearly everything from Amazon, Christmas presents, birthday presents, delivered to your house next day free of charge. You have any issues, send it back, they'll come pick it up. Doesn't cost you pennies. What's not to love? But yeah, unfortunately, all the small shops are going. So it does look like we may be pushing down. In fact, this might not be a terrible looking range. If we can get up here again and get something decent. I think if we got a strong bar, push up and then strong, then that may interest me. But let's see if we get any type of a little channel here with maybe something. What's happening when it comes? It's coming halfway, sideways and down, pushed up, sideways and up, pushed up, a little bit below. So expecting maybe a bit of a pullback and then maybe another continue down. So if we can get maybe a leg or two legs up and then... But it does seem to be slowing around this middle. We've come from the bottom, fan it around in the middle, up to the top, down from the top, fan it around in the middle, down to the bottom, and the same a little bit there. I'm expecting something. Maybe a little bit of stalling around here, but we'll see. The beauty is you only need one trade a day doing this, so most of the time there's a trade on offer, but lately... You snooze, you lose. You've got to take a half decent trade. I noticed Marco took a trade. Well, he marked it. I don't think he necessarily took it, but it was a failure. But it was so close to the lows. So as much as I thought ordinarily I might take it, I had to leave it. And I know Marco puts a few trades sometimes, but I believe he only takes one on average a day. Okay, so we've come from the tops, no argument there. We've had a break. Another little break would be nice. Couple of pushes. And then some downwards. Whenever we get sort of in this area here. In fact, I'm just going to do that actually. Feather it out a bit because... During this area, whenever we push from the top, we get a bit of sideways, and whenever we push from the bottom, we get a bit of sideways. Same here, so very grateful to Marco for his help sometimes. Yeah, he's given me lots of good information and help. Marco's one of my sort of trader buddy sources that... I'll have a little chit chat with, I always watch all his videos. I think his videos are good. I follow those, Top Step. I always watch his bar by bar on a Friday. I think he's a good trader. I like his mentality. He's very robotic in the way he talks and the way he talks about things. He explains the charts quite well. They're either black or white. And I think personally it's a good attitude for a trader. So I do follow him. Yeah, anybody I think's good at something, they're on my radar. Daniel's another one I follow and have a little bit of chit chat with from time to time. But there are not a lot of nice people on the Facebook group that I enjoy chat with all the time, and obviously you guys as well. I chat with you guys sometimes via Messenger or Facebook, and you know we're all in the same big club. We're all out to do well. As far as I'm concerned, the slightly more experienced guys help the less experienced guys, and vice versa. You sort of, you know, when I started, there was sort of Marco and Daniel. They sort of had a couple of years on me, and you know, maybe some of the newer guys now, you know, we give bits of advice to, bits of help. Okay, break bearish bar. If we can get another one, then I'm interested in going short there. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, we're all in this big club together. It's not me and you. It's not us and them. It's us. Because you know we all know how difficult this business is. And sometimes I need a bit of kid gloves. I need a bit of a soft talking to sometimes. I don't like the strict stuff. I like sometimes when someone gives me a little bit of you know, don't worry, everything's going to be all right. So you'll get there, blah, blah, you know. Because I have times where I feel pretty low. Not as much lately because my balance seems to be right. Another little push up there and a lower high would be nice there, be out for the midline. But no, sometimes I need a bit of a pat on the friendly pat on the back, because it can be tough sometimes. So I'm hoping we get that little channel, something like that, and then some more down. Now I'm not taking that because that's just a first entry, but if we can get something else, a lower high, I try and get out before the wicks start. Okay, so far so good. Now push up. Fail second entry long. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Fail second entry long, stroke. Second entry short.
Order submitted.
Tick above there. Come on, there we go. Okay, so if this finishes bearish now, as far as I'm concerned, this is a good trade. Push down. Second entry short. Failed second entry long. Come on. Come on, get down, you bugger. Let me just check I'm not missing something here. Oof. I think it's more important that it's a range, but that is a possibility. We do that, so it's got to be a bit cautious. The way that's pushing up got me thinking maybe there's a channel. I didn't expect that, which is a shame, because if anybody did take that, they got triggered and stopped out. It's another way the market just makes your life miserable. So if we do push higher, then I'm thinking channel. I think at the moment, though, it's important to, just the way we're going, oh shit, just with the way we're going, you've got to think range at the moment. But what I will say is we've come down and we haven't got nowhere near where we've got last time. So that might be an indicator we're losing some downward momentum, and there's more buyers in the market. We've pushed up. So if we can break above and then retest the tops, then I'm thinking channel. Let's put that there. I mean, you can't argue with that, can you? Let's have a look. Okay, touch. Clearly touching. Doesn't look any better. Yeah, there wasn't even an entry there, but if we can push up a bit here and then come down and retest the tops, then there may be an option there. But you have got to be careful, because a lot of the times it comes straight back in. So someone who's experienced may go long there above there. But look at that. You're never quite going to know that that's going to happen, really, I don't suppose. But that's getting us close to that measured move. Hopefully comes back here somewhere. So let's have a look. There is some congestion around here, which is around about where that measured move is. I like where it's stopping there and there. That's looking good. Hopefully we get a leg and a leg, retest the top of this, and then push up some more. Yeah, not a brilliant signal bar there. I know some traders who take just traps, they'll put their order there and put their stop below there. And in all fairness, the way that was looking, I'll be surprised if no one did take that short. And I'll be surprised if there's no shorts in there. And the way that pushed up quite strongly once it got above there, that would make sense. Some stops there. First time worked a bit, but not enough. And then the second time, and then when that came down strong below the EMA, we thought, if you did take that long, you may hold on because you'd be thinking 2 legs up here and then down some more. So some would have taken that. Some would have maybe held on and wouldn't have got into a trade. But taking it above that, for some people, that might not be a bad trade. And look at that. That whizzed up about 6 points, didn't it? 2, 4, 6, yeah. So if, it depends how you trade. Some people, I know some people who, there was a guy who used to not stream a bit, but he was on YouTube. Merce, his name was. I think he ended up going over to, I think he was military, so he went over the Middle East sometimes, so he stopped for a while. And he used to trade just traps. He'd put his order above where he believed to be a trap. Trading time, how you doing, buddy? How you doing? Yeah, see, this might be a trap here. Trigger above here and come down. Or whether it'll either trigger above, come down, or it may hit that. I personally think it's going to come down. $2.0 a day, good for you, mate. Did you take that one by any chance, did you? That failure there, I had my channel slightly different there, so I didn't take that. I did look at it, and I think someone said they were looking on it. I hope I do as well, mate, to be fair. At least it seems to be moving now anyway, so, when it is moving, that's where we get options. So possible second entry long might trigger some longs, which I think is going to be a trap. There it triggers. Let's see what happens. Now it'll either stop out maybe some shorts or it'll come down and stop that. I think the latter. It's quite in the middle of nowhere there, and that's a way for the market to look out for, to weed out weak setups. In that opinion, that's a weak setup. It's miles from anywhere really, so I think that'll come down and stop that bar out. It is a higher low and it's a second entry long, but look where it is, stuck in the middle of that tier, isn't it? So for me, that's a trap. Not a great trap because I don't think there'll be a lot of people trading it, but there will be some. He took the failed second entry long after the new high. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, down we come. Okay, so if you did take that higher low second entry long, trigger just stopped you out. It's weak because it's in the middle of nowhere, although it is a second entry long and it is a higher low, but it's right in the middle of the here, so it's a no go there. So hopefully, if we can get down here, ideally somewhere around about here, it'd be nice to retest the top of this and close to this channel at the same time. Now, there is a possibility we could come back in here, but I don't think we will. We've had this leg down. We've gone 1, 2, and backed up again. Yeah, so we've come down. We've tried another time to go lower, and this does seem like we're pushing up. So, but it's got to come back here for me, really. Delta show a lot of sellers coming in. There probably will be here just to push it back to here maybe, but you don't know. I mean, that's what I mean. It could come back in here. It's possible. Oh, shit. Excuse me. Stay. I get finicky about these. I like to get them just right. Okay, clearly a bit of sideways. May go sideways and then give us something around about here. I'm hopefully, ideally, if it can touch the top of here. Now you have got to be careful because it could give you an entry here and then stop you out. So I think you're best off wait for a higher low. But I'd like to test this top and get close to this channel at the same time. You got that short, did you? Whereabouts? That one there? Or I don't know. It's the that one. You may have got that one. Yeah. See, with us going up at the moment, I'm a bit unsure about what to do. I think it was a pretty small bar though, wasn't it? Let's have a look. 0.25, tick above, tick below, 0.75. Yeah, that's actually not a bad size risk in the grand scheme of things. Based on the delta, yeah. Do you still have anything to do with the gorilla guy? How's he doing? I've not seen any new videos or anything. I kind of liked him. Okay, big bar there. Too risky in my opinion. Trades really, I'm interested in something around here because it could trigger, could come back and go a bit sideways here. I'm not a member, just a month early. That's very good. I am turning my own style based on Max. Yeah, you and me both, mate. I do like the fact that he goes for more points. I do like that. But I think... Excuse me a second. Sorry about that. I was expecting that call just from my internet provider. I had a few problems. I had a day last week where I couldn't trade, so... Okay, so leg up, as I thought. That one did push up. It was a bit off there, and it was a bit from there, so it made me a bit nervous, that. But there you go. So measured move played out. You can clearly see it's reacting there to that measured move. So let's have a look. Nicely working in there. So if we can get back here, but there is a little bit of congestion here, so it may. There's a little bit of support there, so hopefully it may come back here. It's still gone high enough to make me think we don't need to worry about it losing momentum. Okay. Oh. We've got the official open here as well. That's playing a part. You can see it there. You can see it there. Near enough there. So I do expect to... Now it's like sort of, I don't know, going a bit sideways here, to expect to come down here. Hopefully we can get up towards the top. It does. If you look on this daily, that finished a bullish pin bar yesterday. We had a push down. We've come right the way down, but now we're pushing up. So maybe we might push back up, or maybe we may just retest this, or maybe we'll just do drop again. I don't know, but... So I like the way it's close to that the top of that channel, which tells me it's not losing any momentum. So hopefully